Most venerable excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, according to Agenda 1, with the kind permission of most venerables and excellencies, may I have the honor to declare upon the International Conference on Remembering the Past and the Way Forward, a multidisciplinary approach to Pali, Abhidhamma, and Buddhist studies. Thank you very much to the esteemed audience. As per Agenda 2, may I now have the honor to call upon His Excellency, Professor Dr. Mu Tengji, Union Minister for Education, to deliver the welcome speech. Your Excellency, please.
Good afternoon, most venerable Professor Dr. Phra Pandit, most venerable Professor Dr. Khamai Dhamma Sami, Oxford CRO, most venerable CRO Professor Dr. Phra Sakyavamavisuddhi, most venerable Sanghas, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor and privilege for me to be here this afternoon at the International Conference on Remembering the Past and Ways Forward, a multidisciplinary approach to Pali, Abhidhamma, and Buddhist studies. I would like to first of all express my profound gratitude to the most venerable Oxford CRO, Professor Dr. Khamai Dhamma Sami, for supporting the Constitution of Learning Achievements in University of Yangon with Metta, Kayuna, Mudita, and Upika in collaboration with Ministry of Education, because it is important for every teacher and students and the people in Myanmar to be healthy and happy in the Centenary of University of Yangon. The title of today's international conference, Remembering the Past and Ways Forward, also reminds me that in an education reform, it is essential to consider the past and the present capabilities so that common planning and policies can be formulated for the future. Most venerable Sanghas, ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, I would like to express my profound thanks to most venerable Sanghas, participants, and all who are involved in making this international conference possible. I wish the success of the two-day conference and good health and peaceful minds of CROs and the audience. In conclusion, we should work together with no bias in solving the problems and revitalizing University of Yangon to become a flagship university of the country. I am confident that most venerable CROs lectures will make the teachers, the students, and the audience present here to become peaceful, happy, and healthy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed to Excellency for this welcome speech and for highlighting the essential role of the research in the academic institution and ensuring the qualities to be developed by the educators and the learners. So the next agenda is group photo session. Thank you very much, Venerables and Excellencies and the distinguished guests for the group photo. The next agenda is paper presentation session. So in this session, we will have 3 panelists. The most venerable, Dr. Phra Mahabrahma Pandit, Oxford Seattle Professor Dr. Kamai Dhammasami, and Dr. Phra Shakyavamavisuddhi, who would be presenting on Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist education, and the Buddhist Anthropology. We also have 2 chairpersons who will be presiding over this session.
The next speaker is the most venerable Professor Dr. Phra Shakyavamavisuddhi, or Anil Sugando. The Venerable was born Nepalese in the Buddhist clan of the Sakya. He has greatly contributed to the Buddhist world and Thailand, as he has been widely recognized as a Buddhist scholar monk, who not only delivers lectures at world-leading universities, but also has always been invited to teach top Thai government administrators, business world, and to speak at the UN organizations. In Thai media, he is regarded as one of the most appeared media Buddhist monks. He was the unprecedented recipient monk of the Royal Scholarship from His Majesty the late King Bhumibol Adulyadej of Thailand for his postgraduate studies in the United Kingdom. He graduated with an MPhil from the University of Cambridge and later with a PhD in social anthropology at Brunel University in the UK. In recognition of his achievements, His Majesty the late King Bhumibol Adulyadej of Thailand awarded him with a special ecclesiastical title of Phra Shakyavamavisuddhi in 2014. Similarly, the government of the Republic of the Union of Myanmar conferred on him an honorary religious title of Mahasaddhamma Jyotikadaja in 2008. Currently, the Most Venerable is residing at the Royal Monastery of Wat Puranives Vihara in Bangkok, Thailand, where he holds a position of an assistant abbot. He is the honorary rector of the World Buddhist University under the World Fellowship of Buddhists and deputy rector of the Mahamakut Buddhist University. The Venerable represents the modern face of Theravada Buddhism, a bridge between the monastic's principal authority and the ever-changing realities of secular existence. The Venerable is going to talk about Buddhist anthropology from sacred to secular. Thank you, Venerable. The floor is yours.
Most Venerable Chairman of this session, Most Venerable Phra Brahma Pandit, the Chairman of the session, our MC here, and Venerable colleagues, Ayah, nuns, distinguished old guests, and who are very keen in listening to these very hard topics of today's. This is a celebration of 100 years. Of course, I guess we are not going to sit here for 100 hours, I guess. But with these few hours, we are learning, I guess, over 100 things. So this is what celebration all about. Most Venerable just gave us a very broad picture of philosophy. What is philosophy? Love of knowledge. How nice it is. I guess everyone here have to have such a title as a philosopher because you are able to sit here for many hours because you love of that knowledge. You love to learn more and more. Oxford Sayadaw went through all the history of how Buddhist education has been growing. Again, when you talk about the history, that is another very important thing of what is called humanity. How we become as who we are at the moment. Without history, there's nothing. But as an anthropologist like me, I will look at sometimes very differently. I will look at philosophy in a way that how philosophy is reflected in people's idea and people's life. I'm not going to argue that philosophy is good or bad. I'm not going to judge that this philosophy is good, that philosophy is bad. But as an anthropologist, what I do is that I look at the people who use a philosophy as they understand and as they behave according to that philosophy. So this is as an anthropologist I do. Same as a history. I look at a historian. I wouldn't say that that is a good history, that is a bad history. But I will analyze the history based on the peoples, based on the community, based on the society, and sometimes I say that that is a story, maybe you better call his story, not a history at all. Because sometimes when you say history, it's based on personal who write the history. The one who write the history sometimes ignore a lot of things which he's not interested in. And as an anthropologist, I look at the history and say that history is actually what he is talking about is his story instead. So this is what kind of a little bit of a, what do you call this, anthropology as an other for all of you. I heard that Venerable Oxford Sayadaw told me that here we don't know much about anthropology. But I totally disagree. Because maybe you don't know the word anthropology. But everyone here, I challenge that you know anthropology. But you might know that is anthropology. Actually, in our life, we are always curious. I guess that you read sometime magazines. You need sometime newspaper. What you read? Or when you are free, when you have a vacation, you want to go here and there. And what you want to search for the place you want to go. You will see, there is that sort of a tribe here. That is sort of a culture here. That is that sort of a something which is special there. So all those are actually anthropology, you see. You have been reading anthropology all the time. When you want to know about, let's say that some Korean, then where you go? You have to look at all this, maybe in old days is what you call trouble magazines, or even some novel and all those things. Actually, we are reading with a very curiosity because they are so different from us. So that is, if you alienate yourself from what you know, which make you very keen on studying those things because it is something very new for you. That is how anthropologists work. So sometimes anthropology, it says that it is a study of the others, not the self. But later on, of course, you can study self as well. So this is something I believe that we might know that that is anthropology, but the essence of anthropology, what is ethnography, what is called all this cultural documents, the troubled documents are basically all the fragments of what makes anthropology. So I disagree with Oxford Sayadaw that you don't know anthropology. And especially in the Yangon University here, last night I went through the website of this university, and I was so happy that there is anthropology here in this university. And anthropology here, when I look at the history of the anthropology in this university, and I then noticed that I feel a little bit sad, because anthropology here was sometime up, sometime down, sometime up, sometime down, just like any other thing, I guess. I don't know what is the status of anthropology at the moment. So, anthropology is something very, very special subject, I guess. A lot of people don't know what it's all about. As I said, actually, everyone is a part of anthropology. And it was started very peculiar, this very, very weird way. Because anthropology is a very different discipline, the way it started. The anthropology was started in the colonial period, in the imperial period. And it is started as a small technique, what I call a spying subject. But it is a spying subject for what? It is an open spying subject, I would have to say. Because all this colonial authority, the colonial governor, they want to learn all those people who they have governed. So they want to know that what is their secret? What is your practice? What is their cultures? If those are the governors, policy makers in the colonial period, they understand who they are controlling, who they are governing, then they will easily please them. They will easily make all the policy. Sometimes that's not good policy. But we, as one who colonized, wouldn't know that, they respect us. For example, I guess, in the time of colonial period in Myanmar, the British, they didn't respect us. When go to temple, they put their shoes in and so and so, and we get very angry. And what will happen? We try to not cooperate with whatever they said. And when they found the difficulty, they sent these supposed to be anthropologists at the time. Why? Go and study, go and spy. What's wrong with them? Why they don't listen to our order? And so and so. So once they go there and then study, that is called participant observation. Okay? Participant observation. They participate in every culture, whatever they do, any ritual, they will pretend that they really do it, they really respect it, but actually they didn't. They are the one who is studying, they are the one who is spying. And after that they spy, then they realize that in order to go to any temples here, monastery here, you have to take off your shoes. And they go and tell to the governors. The governors, I see. So they took off the shoes and they come to our monastery. And we say that, so good, they respect us. You see? Actually, this is a trade secret of anthropology when it started. So that's how every culture, every country, every community, those colonial, they cover or they govern, they use anthropology as a very important tools to control, to govern them peacefully, without any problem. Once this is very useful and beneficial, then later on, the anthropologists itself, they started to questions. And then instead of just serving all these governors or the government, then they started a disciplinary called anthropology to be able to understand somebody who is not from your culture. So, if we compare to the idea of a Buddhist study, it says that it is at around 19th century, the Buddhist study was started in Europe. Because again, this is Western way of approach. When we say Buddhist study, we are not studying Buddhism as we understand. We do Abhidhamma, we do Pali, we do the Sutta, we do all the monastic education as Oxford Shadows say, but Buddhist study is not that. Buddhist study is something, it is similar to the anthropology, because we go and study how they study Buddhism and what is the impact of that. We use interdisciplinary way to understand what you are doing. So it is not a Pali, it is not Abhidhamma. Yes, we go to study those, but we look at the influence at the society, influence at the behavior of those people who study that. You might remember all the Tipitaka, you might remember all the Abhidhamma, but as an anthropologist, I look at that. Yeah, you can be a great teacher, you can be a great reciter, but what is your behavior? Behavior is not saying that. You say that you are Buddhist. You say that I follow Buddhism very closely. I follow Tipitaka. But when you see that in the many temples, you have a net. And why you follow the net? You have a ghost. You have a this and you have a that. And where Buddhas, which sutta says that you can worship those and that, you see? So anthropology creates a problem sometimes. Anthropology is always asking those questions, why, how, who, where, all these five, what you call this 5 W's and how, is always the tools for anthropologists. So this is the time which started the anthropology in that sense. So let me tell my own story of anthropology. So it will be more easier for you than going through all these texts and referring to all the books. It was back in 1993 when I was ordered, actually it was not my will. My teacher, who is the last Sangharaja, Supreme Patriarch of Thailand, who passed away at the age of 100, I was working as a secretary, his secretary. And then suddenly he said that you should go for your postgraduate. I said, why? I don't want to go. Because I am doing your secretary job. I think I have a job to do. I have a responsibility to take. And then being the secretary of the Sangharaja, I know everyone in Thailand, even the prime minister, even the royalty. And so I thought that why I have to go and study? What is the point of studying? I see many people with a degree, they are unemployed. And I have a master already, why I have to go for study those things? But my teacher didn't give any other explanation that no, you should go for this study. Then it was a willing of my master, my upajjhaya, then I said, yes, sir, Venerable Sir, I will do. So I started to apply. And then suddenly, I apply in the Department of Social Anthropology in Cambridge. I was accepted there. Then everyone is asked, what is that language? What is that subject? So I went there, and then the professor there was very happy, and then said, you can study there. But one who helped me around in Cambridge at that time, even the scholar says that, I know, I want you to change the subject. You shouldn't learn the anthropology. And whoever I met at that time, all the Western scholars, everyone says that I shouldn't learn the anthropology. I'm a Buddhist monk, I shouldn't learn anthropology. Back at home in Thailand and Nepal, nobody knows what is anthropology all about. So I am jumping into something, I'm going into something very alien world, where even the Western says that I shouldn't take the anthropology, and even back at home, nobody knows what is anthropology. So I'm going to the very new world. But then I asked, why you are disapproving that I want to study anthropology? And every Western well-wishers, they gave me answers. I was shocked. They said that, we feel very sorry for your knowledge of Buddhism. If you take anthropology, your belief in Buddhism, your faith in Buddhism will totally destroy it. I was shocked. Is there any subject which can destroy Buddhism? Then it even made me very curious. If there is a subject which can destroy Buddhism, I should learn, I should know then. Instead of not accepting their suggestions, their well-wishers, I said that no, I will go for anthropology. And then I got into anthropology. And I started to study. And my professor sent me to what? Asked me to read all different odd things. Go and study something about read about this Nuer tribe in Africa, their economic system. Go and look at all this the Malinowskis in the Papua New Guinea, their sex life in the Papua New Guinea, their wedding, their marriage, their politics. So I don't know why, and then I was saying that why I have to read all those things. As just one subject of anthropology, why I have to tap on the philosophy, why I have to tap on the psychology, why I have to tap on the economy, politics, whatever, ritual, religion, everything. But finally I started to know that, they are trying to look at in a very different way. They are trying to ask whatever you see as what makes you human. So that's why anthropology, knowledge of what? Of man. Manava Shastra in Sanskrit. It's about human. It's about us. So when I started to study that, again, even in my class in Cambridge, all my students asking the same question again. Can monk study anthropology? Why monk studying anthropology? It looks like this anthropology is something very, very satanic subject. The one, they said that it's destroy Buddhism, destroy my faith. And now all the students say that, no, a monk shouldn't study anthropology at all. Then, by some due time, professor asked me to present a seminar paper. So I asked that, what do I do to present? And the professor said, everyone is asking why you study anthropology. That will be a good topic, he suggested. So I said, okay, if it is the case, I said that my first seminar in my doing postgraduate is being a monk anthropologist. And in that seminal paper, I presented in a way that actually anthropology and Buddhism is not that different at all. Anthropology is a tool to study. It is a tool to analyze things. It is a tool to understand all social phenomena, cultural phenomena. Same as Buddhism. I said that Buddhism is not based on faith. Buddhism destroys faith. Buddhism destroys belief. So if you understand, then I understood that why those Westerners discouraging me to study Buddhism, because they thought that Buddhism is based on belief. Buddhism is based on faith. And this anthropology tried to ask you all different questions. So if your religion is based on faith, of course it will destroy you. It will discredit whatever your faith is, your belief is. But I am very firm that Buddhism is not based on faith. I can challenge that. So I say that actually dukkha in the Four Noble Truths, to identify the questions is the same as what? To identify the problem is the same as what anthropologists do and then ask with all these 5W and 1H. We do the same thing. And we'll find the samudaya, the cause of the causes, for cause of the suffering, cause of the problem. And same as anthropologists do the same thing. But when anthropologists are able to analyze and answers all those, what is the causes, anthropologists unemployed. Work of anthropologists is done. Then I said that Buddhist is not done there. Buddhism still have a nirodha, which you can have a solution for that problem, and then you have a how-to as a magga. So I said that beginning, Buddhism and anthropology have the same way of looking at the things, but in the middle, the anthropology become very small child. So this is what all about. So what is anthropology so? So if you look at anthropology, you can say that it's anthropology of what makes us human, you can say culture, whatever, all those things. So therefore, when we talk about the anthropology, it is something starting with a very negative idea of a tools of a colonial power, but later it become a tools to investigate things very thoroughly with the participant observation, with the true proving, with your own eyes, with your own experience. It is just like a paccatang veditabo vinyohe. You have to do it yourself. You can't rely on anyone. And this is how we started to understand other cultures. This is how slowly anthropology developed. Actually, with the anthropology, I guess that it was the first interdisciplinary which justify the definition of Buddhism for us. Before Buddhism was defined as a religion by the Christian domination, religion is always to do with God, serving God, worshipping God, whatever other human power, superhuman power. And Buddhism never fit into that category. That's why Venerable just says that it falls into the philosophical category from the base on that, because it doesn't fall in the religious category. We don't have a God. So they always look down upon us. It is not even a religion, it is just a philosophy, or even such as a way of life. And it was the Emil Durkheim, sociologist and anthropologist, who didn't accept that idea of a definition of religion and say that religion has to be not a God only. It is a practice. It is a belief and practice where you can see things, where you can experience things, where you keep all the people as a community, you see, the binding things. So it was the first time I would say that the anthropologists justified the concept of religion. So that's why it was the first time Buddhism started to speak in the West that Buddhism is a religion without God, which is actually God means that you need to have a God, but Buddhism is religion without God. That is an anthropology way of thinking. So when we look at the anthropology in that sense, I have very short time. What I do as anthropology is that the same as what I answered to my questions in my classes at the time. Then when I was graduated again, I still have the same problem. Even nowadays, when I say that I study anthropology, people immediately ask, what is that? Sometimes they know sociology, but anthropology, not so many people know about that. But when I explain anthropology, it's a tools to study the things. So I can study anthropology as a philosophy. I can study anthropology as history. Nowadays, you have an anthropology of everything. Anthropology of law, anthropology of philosophy, anthropology of history, biological anthropology, forensic anthropology, physical anthropology, cultural anthropology. So anthropology has become a term which you add on to any discipline now. So that has been very different from how it started. It started with the idea of studying the primitive group, studying the tribe, small group, and this and that. But now, in order to study, we make our own tribe. For example, Buddhists, we make our Buddhist tribe and look at the Buddhism as a whole. Look at the teachings, look at the philosophy. And I look at the philosophy and teaching, how it is reflected in people's behavior. How people take that philosophy. How is their history is like that? Why they become like that? Why it is they become the way they are? Why they are behaving in that way? And we are doing that with a comparison. We look at the different cultures and then see that why that culture can do this. Why you have a similar here. Why we are so different there. So this is the way how we understand. Now when we talk about the Buddhism, getting close to Buddhism, so anthropologists started to study Buddhism from the early period. Especially from the 1960s onward. Buddhism became a sweet dessert for the anthropologists. We studied all the Buddhist community, Buddhist societies everywhere. And especially with the Theravada was very popular among all those anthropologists, not Mahayana that well. Mahayana catch up later. So that's why you can see that in Burma at the time, in the 1970s, there were some scholars, there some anthropologists who was here, came out with this very big book, Buddhism and Society. This is an anthropological book at the time, 1971. There's another one in Thailand called Thambaya, same period. So it's become so many books on Buddhism or Buddhist society and Buddhist community. They are the work of anthropologists. If you want to learn about specific topics, spiritual Dhamma, so you have to ask the Venerable Pandit here, so he can explain Four Noble Truths and so and so. But I don't look at that. I learn what Four Noble Truths are all about. But I look at how Four Noble Truths is manifested in the people's life. So that is become a very important subject. So that's why I guess that the people in the West, they told me that I shouldn't learn this language, this subject, because if Buddhism is based on the faith and belief, of course it will destroy, because you are asking so many questions. But Buddhism, you are asked to ask the question in order to understand. So in a way that it is giving more, I think, force to Buddhism. So that's why you will see a lot of Buddhist books which explain about Buddhism in different countries, in Sri Lanka, in Thailand, in Burma. For example, in this one, by Spiro, he divided Buddhism, Buddhist society in Thailand in the three terms. Not as the philosophy, as a Hinayana, Mahayana, whatever, not as all this development of education. Look at all people, and then we are started to ask question. Why Buddhism teach about the giving up the kilesa, giving off to the nirvana, but at the same time, why people go and worship this God and that God for the wealth? Buddhism talk about the giving up and understanding individualism, but you are living in a community. So we are trying to make sense. Why? When I say the Buddhism, it is teaching like that, but you are acting totally different. So as an anthropologist, I have to come with the explanation why it is happening that. I am not entitled to justify, I am not entitled to judge that you are not Buddhist. But I have to explain why you are Buddhist, but you are still able to do that. So these are the scholarship of anthropologists starting to give a lot of literature, a lot of monograph trying to explain all those things. So you have a scientific religion, you have a Protestant Buddhism, for example, and in Burma, in this book, he went to as a Nibbanic Buddhism, Kammika Buddhism, and apotropic Buddhism. We say that we are Buddhism, we are for the Buddhist study, or all the Tipitaka, we might go for the Nirvana. But not all will go to Nirvana. A lot of Buddhists, they will do the dana, they will do the everything, invest a lot of things. They just want to have a better rebirth in the next life. You see? Not for Nirvana. So sometimes, not even that. Sometimes they just want to practice Buddhism in order to be rich. So is that the Buddhism? Sometimes we practice and study Buddhism, what? In order to cure our disease. For example, Goenka. He was interested in Buddhism because he wanted to cure his migraine, not for Buddhism. So that's why we are anthropologists trying to look at all these different kind of things and then define all different terms. So this is how the anthropology developed, and then you have many scholarship, literatures, many came out and then trying to explain. This is a Nibbanic, Kammic, and apotropic, you see. These are the things. So therefore, we can see that these are the few books I can show you as a simple example, you see. Politics system of a highland Burma, you see. We are talking about the politics here. Buddhism betrayed. It is about again, politics in Sri Lanka. Monk householder, Buddhism in society, Buddhism transformed. How they are having a problem in Sri Lanka. So Buddhism, Southeast Asia. Again, this is a tale, the magical story of Thailand, is a ghost story of Thailand. Again, this is a kind of a Buddhist ghost story, but how it influences society with that. So these are the things. In the yellow one, Buddhist precept and practice, again, it is talking about the precept and practice, but from the people's life. Buddhism in life, South World, the spirit, becoming the Buddha. So all these are the books what you can find under the, what you call this, anthropology of Buddhism. Nowadays, the anthropology has touched upon every subject. You have an anthropology of number. Sometime in our society, you believe that you have to have a 9, you have to have a 8. I say, why? Why 8 months? Why 9 months? Why Sangam instead of 4 months? You see, I have to find all the explanation by the culture, by the philosophy, based on whatever. Then This is the explanation anthropology do. So anthropology, what we do is that we are not a judge. We are not justifying any actions, any phenomenon in society and culture. But job is that we explain everything, how it happened, why it happened, how it is going on. And it is based on, each people who read the anthropological text, ethnographical text, to decide upon in order to make policy, in order to solve the problem, and so and so. So this is anthropology. So in 50 years, I guess that it has changed from beginning as a small subject interdisciplinary to now it's become a so big science that we can touch upon and study everything through anthropology. Because the tools of anthropology is that participant observations, why, how, where, what, how, so everything is that. So it is a very important tools, not only to study Buddhism, but for development of country, for the sustainable development. For example, as an anthropologist, I raise the question, what do you mean by sustainable development? Because it is an oxymoron. Sustain means that stopping. And development means that changing. So how can you have these two words together? If you want to develop, it shouldn't be sustaining. It should be moving. So if you sustain, so it means that you have stopped developing. So what do you mean by sustainable development? This is some questions anthropologists always raise, and then stir the problem, stir the society, and then make it people want to learn more, understand more, and hoping that that will solve the problem of what we are facing on this earth. So I'm glad that you have got this anthropology in this university, and then hope that this kind of subject, it is not a satanic subject as I was threatened by in the beginning, but actually it is a very good tools for us to see what we have done. And if we apply some kind of education, again, you need anthropology to see that how it's working. Even the philosophy, again, you need anthropology to see that the philosophy is working or not. So that is the anthropology, and then I hope that Yangon University will be growing, even expertizing on this anthropology so that it will become a part of society, it will become a part of us where we can use to understand the world, where we can understand the cultures and live happily forever. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mate. That was a very interesting life story, as well as a very clear explanation of what anthropology is and how it relates to Buddhism. I think now it is a moment for a break. We are a little bit late already, so I will pass the microphone to the MCs of the conference to decide how much time we have for the break. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to the panel for the wonderful presentation and the research-oriented papers which provoke our thoughts.